Okay, we're live. Hello, welcome to the Cinema Savvy Movie Podcast. I'm Chris Garner, joined with my co-host George Aldridge and Tayte Niawa, and today we're going to be giving you our review on Marvel Cinematic Universe's latest movie, Avengers: Civil War. Sorry, Iron Man 4. No, it's Captain America: Civil War. Really looking forward to this one because Cap was my favourite superhero out of the whole team. Did take a while to get to that for me, but Winter Soldier sort of just brought the character to the forefront for me. And this is the direct sequel, so I guess we'll jump into it. What we thought, Winter Soldier, Avengers 2, whatever you guys want to jump in with, and then we'll get into the movie. This will have a spoiler-free section first, and then we'll warn you when we get to spoilers because there's a lot of stuff in this movie that we don't want to give away, and it is definitely worth seeing for the first time on the big screen, so you're surprised by it. So, you guys, what do you think of Winter Soldier and the stuff before, and sort of initial impressions on this movie, I guess?
My thumbs are up.
Damn
I was
right.
happy.
Everyone knows I love Winter Soldier. That's my favourite Marvel film. It was the second best comic book film in my eyes until last night or yesterday. So it's pretty flawless for me. So I was looking forward to this. Age of Ultron. I don't know. I still don't know actually why, but I was really hyped for like 2 weeks when I saw it loads. But then it's really like unwatchable now. I mean, I tried to watch it about a month ago, and 20 minutes in, there's just nothing's happening.
Yeah.
And Age of Ultron, I'll happily take Age of Ultron as an Iron Man 2 if it means we're going to get, really good shit afterwards. Which I think we're on the verge. So in short, yeah, I mean, yeah, I can't
Well,
get.
I think like Winter Soldier just kind of like blindsided everyone when that came out because when the first Captain America movie came out, I really didn't care for the character. I know it's sort of how you feel with Superman, George, just the kind of patriotic poster boy, not much going on. Then Winter Soldier came out and something magical happened, and I absolutely loved the character. Went back, and now I kind of do like the first one, having watched the second one. So I was excited about this one because the Russo brothers were coming back, and they did such a fantastic job with that other movie. I was hoping they could bring the same flair to this one, and they absolutely did. They brought it in spades. And they weren't really directing just a Captain America movie this time. It's almost like they did a better job than Joss Whedon did for me in terms of just directing the rest of the Avengers as well.
It was definitely an ensemble movie, but it still felt like a Captain America movie.
Yeah,
And I know that there was a lot of concerns at the start. People thought, oh, it's going to be Avengers 2.5. When you watch it, it doesn't feel like that. It really doesn't. It does still feel like a Captain America movie.
yeah. And to be fair, with the Russo brothers, I mean, Tate, you watch Community as well.
Yeah, I do, yeah.
The fact they went from sitcom to big blockbuster was rather incredible, and then it to be an action. But they know how to write an ensemble piece. That's the kind of gist. I think they helped on the rest of development a bit in the earlier years. So they've kind of got the ground of ensemble. But to me, it did feel like a Captain America film. I think that was most people's issue, that it would have been Avengers 2.5 or what they want to call it. But it felt very much like Captain America, and I thought that was great.
See, this is where I'm gonna disagree just for this point. Now, before we hit record, you thought I was gonna hate this movie because I haven't really said much about it, but I will argue that the first part of the movie, like the first third, definitely is a Captain America movie. But to me, once the Avengers start coming in and they're introducing new characters like Black Panther, I guess it's not a spoiler, but like with Spider-Man, things like that, to me, that's when it did turn into an Avengers movie. So in all honesty, I think they should have just called this movie Avengers Civil War, and I think that that title would have been more fitting. To me, Captain America wasn't at the forefront all the time like he has been previously, and I guess that was an impossible task when you've got a supporting cast of this magnitude. And also with Robert Downey Jr., you do need to establish him as the other side of the coin, right? I mean, that's what Civil War is all about.
Yeah.
They're two are leading the charges. So if you did just focus on Captain America, then you would be neglecting the other side. So I do kind of see both sides of it, but I did think towards the middle and the three-quarter mark point, the focus did shift away from Captain America slightly. They kind of brought it back to the end, which was good, but for the big middle chunk, I did kind of sense his presence just kind of went a little bit.
Just going back onto the previous point about the Russo brothers, I just want to point something out. Before they directed Winter Soldier, the film beforehand was You, Me, and Dupree. which starred Owen Wilson, Kate Hudson, Matt Dillon, and Michael Douglas, and it's a rom-com. So I just want to put that out there. That directors can jump between films nowadays like that. I know that that was like a 6 or 7 year, 8 year, sorry, gap between the two films, but still. I watch Community. I love Community. I completely adore Community. It's one of the best TV shows that have ever existed.
Mm-hmm.
And when I found out that these guys had directed Winter Soldier, because I didn't realize at the time, I was just shocked. I really was. And I have to say, they did a brilliant job in directing this film as well. You can't really fault them on the direction at all. And I'm happy to say that they are going to be directing the 2 Infinity War parts, and I'm all on board for that, especially after this film.
And
Yeah.
regarding a minor spoiler, in their 2 films we've had 2 community cameos.
Yes.
Which means that in Infinity War we may have some more.
Nah.
Together.
It won't happen.
Could do.
Someone will brew it. It's just going to happen.
Yeah, but Community is a very good program. But when they do comedy in this, I know this is getting into the film maybe too much now. They don't do comedy, but when they do it right in the sense that it's on certain characters that would have these comedic moments, and they're hilarious in this film when they do it.
I thought the comedy was fantastic in this film.
Yeah,
to be honest, all the way through.
The balance was right, because what I've said of Age of Ultron is comedy can work like it did in the first Avengers film, but you can't just force it on a villain like Ultron. It didn't work. The whole tone of that film, nothing of the comedy felt right given the stakes, whereas in this, the comedy primarily came from 2 characters, and the sort of 2 characters that were doing it were sort of in the heat of the moment, didn't affect the plot. Where there was a tense finale, no one was making stupid jokes, they just went along and did it, and that's the one thing I kind of like. Because the tone was right. It was the Marvel tone, but it did work on this, unlike Age of Ultron.
I would say out of all the MCU films so far, this was the one where most of the actors got to show their dramatic chops. Because I agree with that. Like, when the jokes do hit, they are fantastic, and there's never one that's really out of place. This is, I would say, this is up there with the writing in terms of understanding the characters from the first Avengers movie. Maybe even better. I'd probably need a second viewing of this to make sure of that. But I saw this in a packed theatre, and everyone keeps talking about we're going to reach that stage of superhero fatigue. No one was feeling it in this. Everyone was into the movie, absolutely packed. I went to see it last evening. And I think the writing was so smart, and the dramatic moments, it did need to be dramatic, right? I mean, Civil War, I haven't read the comic personally, but I know that it is one of the core stories of the entire Marvel lineup of comics, really. And I think they've done loads of iterations after that with different lineups and things like that, but it needed to be dramatic. And if you're going to compare this to any other movie, it's going to have to be Batman v Superman, right? I mean, plot-wise, it is a very similar setup in terms of that they're going from the destruction of the previous movies and the differing opinions and things like that. But I think that this did it better, because what I loved about this movie is you can see both sides of it from Cap and Iron Man. It's very difficult to pick a side. Go on.
First of all, Martha. Secondly, this film was a lot better than Batman vs Superman.
Oh, yeah.
I don't think I've expressed my opinions truly on the channel how I thought about Batman vs Superman, but I'm going to have to say it gets a lot more hate than it should be given, and people need to lay off it for a while because it wasn't that bad. People were expecting way too high of it. I was expecting a lot more of this film than I was against Batman vs Superman before it even got released. And I have to say this film really did deliver. And maybe that will tell on Batman vs Superman because it didn't fare so well against other people's opinions. However, this film, so far, when I've been reading the comments on Reddit, it's all been positive. And once again, Empire magazine, one which both I know that me and George both read. I'm not sure about you, Chris, but
I bought the Star Wars ones, but I'm not a regular reader, no.
It's the first time they've given
a 5-star
Marvel film a 5-star, and it truly does deserve it.
Yeah, because it's an absolutely great film. It's so hard to talk about without going into details, but I just think it was almost flawless to me. I'm looking at things, and it's going to go more into spoiler section, so I won't say what it is, but they did things that I thought they wouldn't do, and they didn't do some things I thought they would, but it doesn't matter because it pays off and it's been done right. That's the most I can say without spoiling anything. But I just thought, from a storytelling point of view, it adapted the Civil War comic well. It translated onto the screen as a good story rather than some sort of nonsense. And then after that, you've got characters, and with the character development, they've all got their own sort of cycles, and I think they all work in this. I mean, some of the Avengers aren't in it for as long as others, and in their short, sporadic moments, it feels right. They don't feel like they're there for too long or too little. I know you kind of said about the middle third, but there are some bits where they have people for the right amount of time because it's not their film. It is Captain America's / Iron Man's.
There was more. I'm pretty sure there was more screen time for Captain America in this film. In fact, there was probably, more screen time for Winter Soldier in this film than there was of Captain America.
I would like to see that. I would like to see the running time split, how they do with some films, and exactly list it, how long they are on screen. But I don't know. I thought that Robert Downey got more screen time, but maybe it was Cap.
I think it would be
worked as an antagonist very well, and then they do, sort of continue on his story arc very briefly. But the thing of Iron Man, now it sort of links into, at the end of Winter Soldier, basically everyone knows that, this isn't a spoiler because it's in Winter Soldier, everyone knows that Winter Soldier killed his mom and dad. And they explore that very well, which I thought they needed to do rather than just shoehorn in at some point. A lot of the films balanced around that, and I thought they did a good job of having Stark, because he doesn't feel like he's there for no reason. He's there at the right amount of time. Again, it goes to the Russo brothers. They wrote it superbly.
But if we go into more of the characters now, I guess we'll start with Iron Man, and then because you just brought Iron Man up, and then we'll go back to Cap. But I love how Robert Downey played it in this film, because when you look at him in Iron Man 1, and I've only seen Iron Man 2 once because I didn't care for it, even the first Avengers, he is the very playboy style, always cracking jokes. But in this one, you get the sense immediately that this guy's been weathered and beaten down. He doesn't seem his usual self. There's the things with Pepper, I'm not going to go into it because that might be spoilers, but everything like that, I loved where we pick up from his character. And one of my problems with Avengers 2 is that where Iron Man 3 ends, it leaves it in a really sort of open-ended place of where Iron Man can go, and then Avengers 2 picks up and it's like Iron Man 3 didn't happen, which is kind of okay in my book because I didn't like Iron Man 3. But this one, there is a progression from him from the previous movie, and I love that. And again, there is an antagonist in this movie, but for everyone that was thinking it was going to be Iron Man or whatever, it really isn't, because you can completely see where both people are coming from. And I thought Robert Downey played it brilliantly, probably the best he's ever played it, in my opinion. And Chris Evans as well, always fantastic as Cap. And just all their scenes together, whether it's dialogue or whether it's fighting or whether it's dialogue while fighting, I thought every scene was brilliant with them in, to be honest.
And I love the fact that they used to, when Iron Man 3 came out, they said for ages, oh, it's a Tony Stark film, not an Iron Man film. This felt like a sort of a Tony Stark as a character. I mean, I wouldn't say it's a spoiler saying he didn't get the Iron Man suit on until about an hour and a half into it, probably.
You don't really care though, do you?
Exactly, because it works. Yeah.
Tate, you want to weigh in on Iron Man, or?
It's hard.
I've always been a fan of Iron Man as a character. And I'd say that his film's progression throughout, like from the very, very first Iron Man, I loved his character in the first Iron Man, and it slowly slipped when it came through Iron Man 2, Iron Man 3. I've never seen him really as a member of the Avengers. I've always seen him as the person who supplies the money and the person who tries to keep things in check. And that really does show in this film, because he is the person trying to keep things in check. I'd happily say that in this film he is completely, like, his mind is torn. But then it gets to a stage of the film where he finally decides, okay, that's it. My mind is now completely set. And that's really where you see a change in character. And I know that my friend was talking to me about this afterwards. He said, what side were you on before and what side are you on afterwards? Because, I mean, the film's poster title says, United we stand, divided we fall. And united they stood in the previous Avengers films, and definitely in this film they fall divided. And I found it very difficult to answer who was the protagonist in this film between the main characters and who was the antagonist, who was the villain here. And I feel sorry for some characters and I feel sorry for others. And in the end, it took me I'm still trying to process it on which side I kind of fall on.
Yeah,
I definitely fell on one side at the start, and now I'm not on the same side at the end.
And I found myself as well, like flip-flopping all the way through the movie, and I want to say this is probably one of the longest MCU films. This is like 2.5 hours or something.
Yeah.
Didn't really feel like it to me, though. I thought the pacing was fantastic all the way through. But Cap as well, and I can't really talk about my favourite scene with Cap because that would be getting into spoilers, but everything with his character, and, you know, he always remains the dutiful sort of poster boy, freedom, truth, justice, the American way, everything like that. But I just thought he played it so well, and there's some really nice character moments with him as well, which,
Yeah.
going back to your points, do sort of keep it on track as being inherently a Captain America movie. But the action, okay, I want to talk about the action a bit in this movie, because there's one scene in this film which I can't go into right now. I'm going to get into it in spoilers, but it is one of the best scenes in any comic book movie ever. However, all the other action in the film, whilst I know it was great and I know the choreography was great, the shaky cam in this movie was awful, and there were points in this movie where I was struggling to even tell what was going on, and then I had to kind of piece together in future scenes the lead up to that point, because I just couldn't tell what was going on the screen. I didn't know if you guys had that problem, or... By the way, I saw this in 2D as well. So
I saw it in 2D, yeah.
I was at IMAX 3D.
How was the 3D in this film?
You know what? It was actually good. You could actually notice. I don't know if that's because it was the IMAX 3D though, because I know it's a different format to the crap that you get the real D 3D at the cinemas. But it was really well done, and obviously with it being an IMAX, naturally that old Tate, you like that whisper there. Basically it was great. The scene you're talking about, that was completely shot in IMAX, which was fucking superb. I can say that. But I noticed the shaky cam, but it didn't really affect it for me. But I don't know, again, that might be the format. But I noticed it, but I thought the action was great, and that's what I liked. That's what I liked. The Russo brothers, they came on board, and at the start of Winter Soldier, when he kicks that guy off the boat, you go, "Shit, this is a different America film."
That was my favourite bit of Winter Soldier. That opening scene, love that bit.
They're just doing it again now. I mean, I'm not going to spoil the first scene, but when he gets his shield and he's just throwing it at people and he's just beating the shit into people, it's just absolutely superb. And I keep loving it. I want to see more, because I thought he was very flat in Age of Ultron.
Yeah.
You can notice the lack of the Russo brothers in that. Granted, it was more of an Iron Man Avenger film with Ultron and stuff. I'm really excited to see what he'll be like in. I don't know if that's right to someone else carry on, because I don't know what I was about to say.
No, but I know what you mean. But like with this film, this sets up so. We're going to probably get into this to the end with predictions and stuff for Phase 3, but it sets so much stuff up for the future Marvel films, probably more so than Avengers 2 did. When you look back at Avengers 2 now, there's a lot of stuff probably hyping up for Thor Ragnarok and things like that, but stuff we didn't really understand. All done in dream sequences again. What is it with superhero films and using dream sequences to tell?
I have no idea.
But really, it was just sort of the destruction, I guess, at the end, which leads into this movie. But from where this movie ends, and I'm not going to give anything away, it does set it up in a really, really awesome way. In terms of the action, I'm right there with you. Just seeing Cap throwing the shield and it rebounding off like 3 or 4 guys was amazing to watch. I was almost applauding in that scene because I just love seeing Cap in action. Great opening scene as well, but as I said, it was just sort of the choreography, like how it was actually filmed. And I know that Winter Soldier had some shaky cam on the bridge scene, but to me, that worked more for that film because it was very visceral and sort of ground level fight. This, for me, I would have just liked the camera to have been pulled back a bit so you can see all the awesome staging and the hand-to-hand fights, sort of like how Daredevil is in the TV series. By the way, speaking of Marvel, can't wait for Punisher TV series. It's been officially declared. What else can we get into on this? So, brief thoughts on the
can I actually go back onto that shaky cam thing? I only really noticed the shaky cam when it was Black Widow fighting.
Yeah.
That's not really a spoiler, but I feel like to add to her character, seeing as there really isn't too much there. Let's be honest here, come on. There isn't really too much there in the Black Widow character other than the fact that she can do a little bit of like fighting, and that's it. I mean, she doesn't have these superpowers, she doesn't have anything going by her other than that.
She works as a supporting character. The talk of, she's have her own film nicest possible way. I like seeing her. I'd much rather see her in a lot of films as a side character than a
Yeah.
major. A character hasn't got enough story to pull a feature film.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like the shaky cam followed her around the entire film, and I feel like it was there to mask and make it look a bit like she was doing something actiony.
Yeah. See, I think
Um,
the shaky cam definitely has its place. It definitely does
yeah,
have its place, and I understand the effects of using it effectively. But when you use it all the time in an action scene, it loses its effect, and you just get to the stage where you want to see what's going on. I think that, like, if you look at the Raid, for example,
yeah,
some of the best hand-to-hand fight choreography and filmed of all time. It's fantastic, and that does have moments where it uses shaky cam, but I don't think there was a single moment in that film where I couldn't tell what was going on or who was throwing what punch or who was doing what move. That kind of got muddied for me, especially it was more or less the opening scene for me, which was the biggest offender, and then it cropped up
yeah.
every now and then. There's a scene involving Bucky and Cap where they're fighting something, and that got a bit muddled as well. I guess we could talk about Bucky though, right? I mean, I know he's not sort of one of the poster characters, but he's an integral character in this film. I love how they carried it on, to be honest, from Winter Soldier. You could see this as a direct sequel to Winter Soldier, and I was a bit worried if they wouldn't carry on that whole theme of friendship with the two and sort of like the turbulent relationship with all the other characters they've got in there from the lineup. But I thought that every single character was balanced as they needed to be in this film. You probably
Yeah.
got Cap, Iron Man, and then right after that would be the Winter Soldier, and then everyone else kind of falls in place after that. But no, how the Russo brothers sort of managed it and devoted just enough screen time to everyone, I thought it was brilliant. And the direction they take Bucky in this movie, especially towards the end, is probably one of the best Marvel scenes ever done. And how Robert Downey plays that, how Chris Evans plays that, how is it Sebastian Stan? Sebastian
Yeah.
Stan played the Winter Soldier. How he played it was fantastic. Absolutely loved it.
I completely agree. I think his character has really been fleshed out more in this film, I'd say.
Yeah.
They
I'd say
had,
that. Go on.
I was going to say they had layers because you've got the brainwashing in Winter Soldier. You know that he wasn't, sort of a hitman for him, and they're adding layers to it, and it just made it more interesting. I already wanted to know more about him. You wanted to see more of him and Cap, and they've got these short, great moments, but then what they actually do with him as a character, I thoroughly enjoyed him. I like what the Rooster Brothers have done with him. I mean, the Winter Soldier, not the film, the actual comics, is one of my favourite ones. And sort of the events that take place after it leads into Civil War, that sort of stuff. They're doing a decent job of. I mean, they're not adapting them. I don't care that they don't adapt them like, panel to panel like what Zack Snyder would rather do, which he's failed at doing recently, actually.
They do have one scene of that, which I want to bring up in the spoiler
Yeah.
section, but that was great to see. It was earned.
Will
Completely
do. But I just want to see more of him again. I mean, the way Marvel's doing, okay, we've had 3 Iron Mans, they stopped. It seemed likely we're going to stop at 3 Thors, probably 3 Guardians. I hope they can do more of Captain America. I'm not sure they will. But it's something if they're seriously going for Phase 4 stuff, then I do want to see more of Cap and Bucky's story.
Seeing as we're in the spoiler section, are we allowed to do comic book spoilers? Or we're in the non-spoiler section, are we allowed to do comic book spoilers?
I don't know. No, I'd probably leave that for
Yeah,
spoilers.
Until the spoiler section? Yeah.
There's stuff I want to bring up from. I haven't read the comic book, but I'm aware of it. And George, you sent me a panel from it, a very iconic panel
Yeah.
from. Which
I am aware of the comic books. I have not read them, but I am aware of what happened and why there probably can't be a 4th Captain America film.
I'd say that's pushing it limits for the people that aren't aware.
No, it isn't.
Yeah, it is a little bit. It is a little bit. I'd save that for spoilers.
Just like there can't be a 4th Iron Man film for exactly the same reason.
I've got a lot to say on the potential future stuff, so I'm going to hold that for spoilers because I've got a lot to say and a lot of good stuff as well.
We'll get to spoilers in a minute. There's just a few other things I wanted to touch on, and then if you guys can think of anything else, we'll probably do. It's difficult to do like favourite moments and things like that.
Can I do favourite character without spoiling anything?
Sure.
In fact, it's tied, but I'm going to give it to one character in particular because wasn't expecting it at all. But I'm sorry, but the new best Avenger is got to be Chadwick Boseman as the Black Panther.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but he is just in this film, incredible, absolutely incredible.
Again, I don't want to go too in depth into it, but it was kind of weird for me not having an origin movie for him before. But I think that having him here, they still give him an effective origin within this movie, where you can then have another movie with him in.
And he has his own film confirmed, doesn't he?
Yeah, yeah. I think that was originally meant to be coming out next year, but I think when Marvel sort of kind of got the rights back to Spider-Man, they're pushing for that for next year.
Yeah. Let me have a check.
Next year is Thor Ragnarok and Spider-Man Homecoming, then Black Panther's the following year with Guardians of the Galaxy 2, I think.
There's 3 next year: Guardians, Spider-Man, and Thor. I think the order is probably Guardians, then Spider-Man, and then Thor.
We got just remember we've got Doctor Strange first before that.
Yeah. Which looks good from the trailer.
Yeah.
Solid. It looks interesting. I'd much rather. I think my thoughts is that a year ago I was like, fuck's sake, another Spider-Man. 1 year later, I cannot wait to see Spider-Man now. You said your favourite new character, but him and Black Panther were both incredible. I mean, I love Black Panther in it. I've always been interested to see what they do with him, and it was cool. Spider-Man was even better. But I want to give a shout out to Ant-Man, which was superb last year, and he was absolutely brilliant in his moments in this film. I love Paul Rudd, and I love Scott Lang, and I cannot wait for Ant-Man 2 as well.
Yeah, no, I completely agree with that. Every Ant-Man moment was fantastic. Oh my, and we're going to get to spoiler section, but Ant-Man gets a moment in this movie which brought the house down.
Yeah.
Awesome stuff. And Spider-Man. Okay, brief history of me with Spider-Man. He used to be my favourite superhero. Yes, even above Batman. I loved Spider-Man. And even with this movie, I guess I need a solo movie to kind of cement it, but the little brief glimpse we got of him was fantastic. I think that Tobey Maguire is always going to be my Spider-Man, but that's just because I grew up with his portrayal of it. But, oh my god, Spider-Man's back, and it's such a good feeling. Oh.
There's a phone ringing. My bedroom.
Okay, so I've actually got the Marvel Cinematic lineup.
Okay.
Captain America Civil War this year, we got Doctor Strange later on. We then got Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2, Spider-Man Homecoming, Thor Ragnarok, Black Panther, Avengers Infinity War Part 1, Ant-Man and the Wasp, Captain Marvel, Infinity War Part 2, and then not the Inhumans because they got pulled.
They absolutely just got This Is Sparta kicked off that resume.
I have a feeling they all appear up in Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Yeah, I think they've...
I've heard. I don't watch Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. personally, but I think they've already been dropped in there already.
I don't watch it either, but I think they've introduced the concept of the Inhumans, or there's one character that is an Inhuman. I'm not really sure. I don't watch that show myself. I just watch my Daredevil, my Jessica Jones, and soon-to-be Punisher. But no, Spider-Man. So I love the Sam Raimi trilogy. I even kind of like 3. It's a guilty pleasure movie for me. The Amazing Spider-Man films just completely let the air out of the tires for me with the Spider-Man character. And I was really sort of going into this one like, it's going to be difficult to win them back and the audience back. But it was like a dash of Deadpool in this movie when Spider-Man showed up. The audience loved it. I loved it. He got the best jokes in the film. And I cannot wait to have a solo Spider-Man movie.
And especially with, it's going to be him and Robert Downey Jr., isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, and I guess that makes sense to just have him in. It cements it more in the universe. I do kind of like. It's weird, right? Because we've only ever had Spider-Man on his own before, and now just seeing him in front of all these characters, it was kind of one of those Avengers moments where you just kind of sit back in awe at seeing all these characters on screen, and they absolutely got that in this movie too. But with new Spider-Man movie, I hope they do it justice. I think they've said now that Marvel's pretty much got complete creative control over it in the universe. So I think
Sony gets some of the money. Sony get the money, they get the creative control, which is how it should work, to be honest.
And I think where we pick the character up from, I guess it might be a little bit of a spoiler, but where they say how long he's been Spider-Man, for example, I think it's a really just ripe area to take the character.
Yeah.
I was kind of a little bit miffed how they very knowingly do it and like wink at the camera, gloss over the origin. I know you guys always say this, that we know the origin, you don't need to bring it up or show it or anything like that, but I think with every new incarnation, it should have at least been hinted at.
With the origin, like when it gets to the spoiler section, I want to see if there is like, because we saw the origin. I know in the spoiler section we'll go into it more, but I want to see whether Marvel were clever enough to actually upload those videos.
Oh, okay.
Oh,
We
yeah, yeah.
gotta find them now. They're probably somewhere on YouTube.
But they did that with Spider-Man 2 as well, didn't they? Well, sorry, The Amazing Spider-Man 1, which was Spider-Man second
Yeah.
which
Yeah.
was
It was Spider-Man 4 Part 1.
when they tried to make Spider-Man as dark and gritty as the Dark Knight, and then The Amazing Spider-Man 2 tried to become as bright and colourful and large as the Avengers, and they all failed.
Yeah, totally. Though I think they've completely just on the money now with.
Yeah. Well, he's like he is in the comics. He's just a bumbling 16-year-old that's.
I want to see
You know.
a Spider-Man Deadpool crossover right now.
I really wanted Deadpool in this movie.
I'd
I
rather just see
kind of want him in everything.
I've got controversial opinions on Deadpool. I won't go with them too much. I'm not the biggest fan of it. Hello, Mom. You're live on YouTube.
Can I just say, guys, this has been the best review we've ever done. I'm loving it.
Basically, I don't know if it's been mentioned, but my computer's currently broken, so I'm in the study on an iPad, which isn't brilliant. So hopefully I've got the computer back next week.
We're fighting through it, though. We're fighting through it. You're doing it for the cause. It's all good.
Imagine.
I'm trying to think of anything else to talk about this movie. Do you guys? It's difficult, as I said, without going into spoilers. Do you want to go into favourite moments, a negative, a recommendation?
You can't do that without going into spoilers, dude. Not in this film.
Okay, well, I'll be vague as I can. My favourite.
We'll do thumbs up or thumbs down, dude. We'll just do thumbs up or thumbs down. We'll talk about them in depth later.
I think I can talk. I think I can get around this. I think I can do it. My favourite moment is the bit you see in the trailer where you do have the two teams going at each other. It is one of the best action scenes, one of the best shot, one of the best written superhero scenes you'll ever see. It's like straight off the comic book page, and it's an absolute right to see. I would pay money to see this movie again just for that one scene. It was in fact, I kind of wanted the whole movie just to be that scene. I was enjoying it so much. Negative? It's difficult because I did have problems. The shaky cam is definitely one for me, especially in the first couple of action sequences. But besides that, nothing's jumping out to me. I thought that the villain was pretty cool. Oh, okay. There is something involving one of the villains in this film which does kind of piss me off a little bit, which I'll get into in spoilers. Other than that, though, I completely enjoyed the movie. I would definitely recommend this movie. It's difficult if you kind of got to watch all the other ones in order, right? You come to expect that with the Marvel movies. You can't just go Captain America 1, 2 into this one.
Although, actually, I did go Cap America 1, then straight to 2, and there was literally nothing different, really. But going from Captain America, going from Winter Soldier to this, you're missing so much.
Yeah.
You're missing Ant-Man, you're missing Ultron, and like I was just saying to my parents beforehand, if you're gonna go watch in the cinema, you got to go see those two films first. And they're like, really? And I was like, yeah, you're gonna miss a lot, just everything. You're not gonna understand what's going on.
I mean, it's like a long-running TV show now at this point, kind of. I mean, if you miss a couple of episodes, you're kind of screwed for when you get to the next one. That's how I see it now. But I love where this film ends, like where it leaves off, and how it can lead into all the future Marvel movies and things like that. I think it's a really interesting setup where everyone's left at the end of this film, and it's just a good solid action movie. There are some nice drama moments with the characters. It's not too involved because as it is, it's a superhero movie. But for the material, they handle it very well. I'm aware of how the story is in the comic books, and I think from how it's different in the film universe, I think they still adapted it very well. And for the most part, they kept the themes from the comic, and that's the most important thing. And Spider-Man's fantastic, and I'm looking forward to seeing his movie probably more than anything else. So I guess that's my recommendation. Definitely go and see the movie. George, are you just sort of the same? We'll jump straight into spoilers, or anything else to add?
Give Marvel your money.
Exactly.
They've already got it though. I mean, I think everyone that's watching this that lives in England's probably seen it by now, and I'm guessing the Americans have got a long 6 days until they get to see it. So good luck avoiding spoilers. But it's Marvel's best film. It's one of the best comic films, and as a whole in itself, it's genuinely a very well-directed, good film. If you don't like comic book films, it's one to watch. And that's probably why it's got very good score on Rotten Tomatoes, which isn't the be-all and end-all, but it says something when films like that are in the mid-90s.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Thumbs up.
We've been waiting for. Let's get into the spoilers, and I have absolutely no idea where to start with this thing.
Can I?
Guys, pick where you want to start.
Can I just start off by saying congratulations to Captain America for going for the mother and the daughter. Well done.
Oh, that bit was amazing in the cinema. Right? I was watching that bit, and there was like murmured gasps and like, oh, why is he doing that? And then someone shouted, "No, Cap, that's incest." I'm like, no, it isn't. That's so not incest.
No, but what was funny was when it panned back to the car, and they're just like, yeah.
Love that moment as well where, what was it, who's in the back? Is it Winter Soldier? He says, like, can you move your chair forward? He's like, no. So good.
The banter between Falcon and Winter Soldier was actually quite funny in this film.
Fantastic. Yeah, the humour in this film just all the way through. But going back to Peggy Carter, that moment actually almost broke my heart in the film. Like where he gets the text and he says she's gone in her sleep. I knew immediately who it was, and I thought,
this film hit hard. I'm not gonna lie here. This film, from both ends, Tony Stark had like the revelation of like people coming up to him saying you're a murderer. Wow, okay. And then we've also got the idea of him kind of chasing down the Winter Soldier, thinking he's doing right, and then realizing that instead of doing it for other people, which he'd been doing it all along, he has his own moral cause, and that's what tips him over the edge in the end. That's what really sends him reeling after him. And from both sides, you can see pain throughout the film.
Yeah.
You can see people flicking between ideas of each side, and in the end, it's just kind of it's just a good film. It's just
one thing I thought was really smart with the Tony Stark stuff is that it would have been very easy to just keep it broad and just like, oh yeah, we killed all these people, that was bad. But I like how they just got one individual, and it may have been a bit heavy-handed how they did it, how they kept playing up this one guy, but I thought that made it a bit more personal. How you just get invested in the character of this person we never even saw, but their backstory and what they wanted to go on to do. And then from that one character, you kind of multiply that in your head to everyone else that died as well. I thought that was a really smart move from the Russo brothers to write it like that.
This is where I'll start talking about the comics. So I'm just going to try and glisten through this first. But you got the opening scene where Crossbones suicide bombs himself, and they accidentally kill loads of civilians. Then you've got basically cut to Tony Stark with the woman in the actual Civil War comic. It starts off with a group of like young Avengers accidentally like blowing up the city or something like that, killing loads of people, and Tony Stark attends a funeral, guilty, but they're all like giving him shit. So I really like the dynamic of they kind of adapt an aspect of that where the new Avengers team, they've caused some problems, then it's hitting Tony hard, and I think that's where they needed to take the character because
they got rid of Crossbones. Why did they do that?
Yes,
in the comics, he's the one who basically goes and just straight up kills Captain America.
Yeah.
Spoilers for the comics, by the way.
It felt like a loose end that they just wanted to tie, which was a shame because I thought, I can say it now, we're in the spoiler section, no one died.
No.
I don't have an issue with that because the film was, if you've got something where it works, if no one's dying like this one did, because I've said I've wanted someone to die for a while, but the direction of the film and where they take it, someone doesn't have to die for it to be interesting. I know this. I said someone should have been Age of Ultron or something.
They weren't brave enough to kill off the right character in Age of Ultron.
Yes.
They killed off the wrong character in Age of Ultron. They shouldn't have killed off Quicksilver. They should have killed off one of the main Avengers and Quicksilver, or just one of the main Avengers. Don't care whether it was Hawkeye, Black Widow, one of them. Something that someone would have an emotional attachment to, which would lead to different things happening in this film.
Yeah, and that's the thing, and I think they get around Age of Ultron very, very well. I think that's the right term for it because it goes to Sokovia stuff. Baron Zemo's got Sokovia backstory, which I absolutely loved. I loved
that was one of my favourite scenes towards the end. Absolutely loved that scene.
I'm going to talk about it later because I want to go into him as a character. Probably one of the best bits of marketing. Oh my god, this one else come in. This one else coming in here. I'm going to have to do
But no, if we talk about the crossbone stuff a bit more, because I really want to hit on this. I went into this thinking he was going to be like the Bane of this new movie. I was aware of the ending of the comic with Cap dying, and I actually made a bet with my mate that I thought Cap wasn't going to make it out this movie alive. I thought they were going to go really ballsy like the
How
comic.
much did you lose, Chris?
It wasn't money, actually. It's, me and my mate go to the gym, and now apparently I've got to do a ridiculous amount of sets on one of my most hated workouts. We did it to that. I didn't want to part with any cash. But no, he knew that he'd make it through it, and I guess this goes with all the Marvel films. They have moments where they either say they kill a character off, or they set up that they're going to kill someone off, and then they don't do it. So Avengers 1, you had Agent Coulson, who had been in most of the movies before then, sort of getting everyone together.
Yeah.
And his death scene was really good in the movie, and then they did Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and brought him back, and then watching the first Avengers movie, they do hint at that he hasn't gone. Same with Winter Soldier as well, with Nick Fury, where they say they kill him, and then he comes back, and it's exactly the same in this movie. I did think that... And the trailers did kind of spoil this bit, which I was kind of annoyed about, because it just seems that trailers do this now. But the bit where War Machine gets shot out the sky, I knew it was coming because it's in the trailers. I think maybe that would have been the moment to kill off War Machine and have that as the kind of big dramatic moment. I think it was still good how they handled it, saying that he's more or less paralyzed and he can only walk with these Iron Man cybernetic things that he's made for him.
Yeah.
But that may have been a bit more effective if that had been the moment where someone died, and that was the moment where they had to take a step back and go, whoa, this is crazy now.
I'd have to say, if anyone should have died in this film, it should have been either War Machine or the Winter Soldier. Had to be. I'm at the end of the film, where they're having that massive fight at the end, I was thinking Iron Man's going to kill War Machine here, Iron Man is going to kill Captain America here, something's going to happen here. And I was actually expecting it. At that point, I was expecting Iron Man's going to kill Captain America, then immediately regret it and go into hiding or run away or do something. Or something bad was going to happen, someone was going to end up dead, and they were going to be in complete shock and have to cover it up. That would have probably been a better ending, because I have to say one of the main problems with this film was the ending to me. It was way too safe for the kind of film that it was pitching. I liked the idea that the film didn't have a big bad guy. It was more about the characters clashing with each other, and the ideas of where they should, how they can do good came together. However, the ending was way too safe, allowing all the Avengers to go free and everything's fine. I know the status quo has shifted, but I would have preferred to have seen a bigger, probably more shocking ending of that. One other thing that I'd like to note is the other part of the film that I didn't like was Cooking with Cooking with Vision, and his weird, wrong romance with Scarlet Witch, which the on-screen chemistry was not there at all. There was nothing there at all.
Well, there's never any setup, right?
Him being a computer, I think that's the point, because it is creepy and weird. Like, she's gone from an incest to some sort of robot lover. But
Man, this chick's got problems.
but they're the two. I liked their dynamic of the what's the word? The conflict between them, where it got to the fight later, where he's kind of locking her up and he realizes he's in the wrong. They're both kind of compromised with their powers to a degree. I like the aspect because they are the two most powerful ones in the MCU. And I thought they handled it very well.
Miss Marvel.
Yeah.
Technically, when Thanos gets his glove, I think Marvel are going to bottle him clicking his fingers and killing a third of the people, but they might do something. You never know.
But with
Let's all agree that the next Avengers film, in Infinity War, people are going to die, and we're going to be left with maybe 4 or 5 Avengers out of the, at the moment, 12.
Well, that's probably why they're introducing all the new ones, right? So they can be the next ones.
Is it worth predicting now? I reckon Black Panther will survive. I reckon Ant-Man will survive. I reckon Spider-Man will survive. I reckon
Doctor Strange
will survive. I reckon Iron Man will survive, and I reckon Hulk will survive. Everyone else will go.
I've kind of lost who you've said. I think the people that are gonna die. Vision. Well, no, wait. I can go through the dying list. Vision will die. Captain America will die.
Yeah.
Scarlet Witch will die.
Yeah.
We're not Scarlet Witch. Scarlet Witch will stay. Sorry, I meant Black Widow.
I reckon Hawkeye will die as well.
I
He's
think-
outstayed his welcome.
Like a hilarious moment if Hawkeye made it out alive, like the Avenger that no one.
He's the only person who survives, and you're just sat there going, no!
The only time I will care about his character is if he gets in the fabulous purple costume that he has in the comic books. Otherwise, I'm out.
I loved him in Age of Ultron. I want to say that basically I think the Avenger team for Phase 4 is going to be Bucky is Captain America, Spider, Doctor Strange, Iron Man will be the Nick Fury in the background, Scarlet Witch.
Don't you think Falcon will take up Captain America?
No, I know he has in the comics, but I think they'll give it to Bucky purely because he's on a 10-pitch
Do you think that I reckon Thor will die, and I reckon his partner will take up just like the comics?
Oh, the woman-y thing.
The woman from Thor's universe, yes.
The woman-y thing. Can we just call it that now?
Basically, before they kick off like they've been doing on Twitter and Facebook all week regarding Jennifer Lawrence and X-Men and bullshit like that. They've replaced Thor with a woman, which I've got no issue with. I don't really care. I don't read Thor comics.
Thor is all about who holds the hammer, not about the person who holds it.
That's the thing. That's what I like they've done because Thor's kind of the title role. But I think they are going to go for something like that. Ragnarok's the end of the world, so people should die in Thor 3.
I have a feeling that there's going to be a huge death list by the end of Phase 3, and there isn't a huge death list at the end of Phase 2.
Yeah, they need to do it because if Thanos is the big bad villain that's been teased for about 7 years by the time Infinity War's finished, and he doesn't.
Do you reckon anyone from the Guardians of the Galaxy will die?
No.
Yes, Gamora.
Ooh.
Gamora will die, and they'll replace her. Maybe they wouldn't kill Groot. Maybe even Drax. I don't want him to, but.
Well, they've already killed Groot, right? They already killed him, and then he came back.
Yeah, Groot is basically invincible.
Yeah.
No, they won't kill Star-Lord, they won't kill Groot, and they won't kill Rocket. That's like guaranteed. But I'm guessing Phase 4. Are they planning a 5? I hope not. The team's going to be Strange. The ones that the younger ones, the newer ones, are going to be there for the longer time.
I have a feeling that Spider-Man may get a trilogy.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
He'll get Homecoming. He will get a crossover with Men in Black and 22 Jump Street, and he will finally get a crossover with Deadpool.
Well, speaking of Spider-Man, actually, if I want to just bring it back, one thing that really weirded me out about this movie, I guess it's because none of the other Marvel movies have done it, the huge fuck-off letters establishing where they are.
Yeah.
That looked really weird for me and out of place.
I liked it. I think instead of it saying in covert letters at the bottom of the screen,
that's what
it's
I was
going to be here at this date, at this time, latitude and longitude. No, we don't need that. We just need to know in plain black text.
I know, but
Where
it was
are they?
Queens.
Seriously, when you think of where you want a scene to be, you don't want all this exponential text at the bottom saying, "Oh, they're in like this random location at this time." What you need is in big black fucking letters. I am in Cairo. I am in Berlin. I am in Sokovia. Because that's all that matters. Doesn't matter what time it is or anything like that. If the movie's moving forwards as it should be, all you need is a giant flash up of what is going on or where it's going on. You don't need any of this other BS about like, oh, it's a covert operation. Oh my god, it's at 1700 hours. No, you need it to tell you in giant fucking great big letters that they're in Berlin. And I like that.
It's just to make sure that the people at the back can still see actually where the scene's taking place. I wasn't like completely tuned out of this movie, but there was a moment where I was just sort of like just zoned out. I was just passively watching the movie, and it came up Queens, and I didn't think anything of it. I was just like, okay, they're in Queens, and they go into the residence, and they like say Parker there, and I'm just like, okay, yeah, Parker. Wait, Parker. Wait, Spider-Man's in this movie, and then it was that whole scene there was the introduction. I don't say it derails the movie, but it is kind of just thrown in there. But you need that to set up the new Spider-Man. I guess
Iron Man's midlife crisis going for Aunt May.
Yeah, I was about to say that. Pepper
and I love how they point that out as well. That it's like unnaturally attractive aunt or something he calls her.
Pepper Potts is gone.
Yeah, Marissa Tomei's got to fill that role, man. Absolutely got to fill that role.
And it's Spider-Man's father confirmed. Plot twist at the end of.
Well, you wonder why he's in Homecoming.
Spider-Man 2 is going to drop the "I am your foster father." No, it's not foster father, is it? I'm your stepfather. Right at the end of the film.
Actually, we're going to do Star Wars references. Oh
Yeah.
my god.
Yeah.
I was geeking out so hard at that moment.
Wait, back onto Spider-Man quickly. Back onto Spider-Man quickly. The introduction scene. I'm not sure whether I've told you guys or not, but Tom Holland, as far as his acting career has gone, he was in The Impossible. He was in The Heart of the Sea, just kind of small time films and stuff like that. Before that, he was actually in Billy Elliot the Musical in West End with
Your sister.
my sister. So I need to dig up that contract. Tom
Yeah.
Holland, if you are watching, I'm going to get in contact with you.
But no, I thought he was really good. I love how he played it. It was sort of, I would say it's kind of a mashup of the previous two we've had, right? I mean, it's like the awkwardness of Tobey Maguire mixed with the wisecracking nature of Andrew Garfield, and it was just like the perfect blend of both. But yet he was still his own identity of the character. And he says in the movie, you know, I fight for the little guy. He's just really endearing, even when he's in the costume. He's like a little kid. He's really trying his hardest. You can tell in this movie he earns the respect from all the people around him. There's that great moment, one of my favourite moments in the movie, where Cap talks to him and he says, "Where you from, kid?" And he says, "Queens." And he goes, "Oh, I'm from Brooklyn." And then
that matches the end credit sequence, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Kid he from Brooklyn's like, yeah, and he had some friends. I liked it. I really like the Spider-Man stuff. Credit to Marvel for clearly going out their way to get the deal going. I'm very excited to see what they do. And also, it might make the Spider-Man films more traumatic. I know this is spoilers, but if they're going to do a sort of... I don't think they would do a Gwen Stacy because maybe Spider-Man 2 failed at doing it, but if they're going to do any kind of killing in his films, he's a teenager. And that is going to be absolutely savage.
Hold on, wait a sec. Just getting up the cast for Homecoming so far because I was reading through it the other day.
Michael
Keaton dropped out.
Oh, has he dropped it? Oh, man, fuck this movie. I don't want to see it anymore. God
so
damn
we've
it.
got Tom Holland, we've got Robert Downey Jr., we've got Marissa Tomei, I believe, is Aunt May. We got this person called
They've got a lot of teenagers.
Zendaya.
They're all playing his classmates. That's what
who is playing classmates. Do you know who's also another classmate? Tony Revolori, who played Zero from the Grand Budapest, which I like as a casting choice.
But with the Spider-Man stuff, I just love how they said, "Oh, I really want to see his solo movie," and I like that they're picking it up really early. I think he says that in the movie he's had his powers for 6 months. I think that's great. We see him in the sort of prototype costume. Maybe it was a bit quick that Tony Stark just made his costume, because we know that Tony Stark's all tech-based and things like that, but yet he makes him a scuba diving looking gear with the belt. I don't know. That seemed a bit easy to me just to get him in the suit, but I don't care because Spider-Man's in the movie. He's fantastic. And he's going to have the web shooters, which I'm always torn on the web shooters because to me, if he gets bitten by a spider and has the power to jump super high and to climb up walls, it just makes more sense to just give him web powers as well. But then on the flip side, it does really show off his tech prowess, and the whole angle where they went where Tony Stark was handing out money to grants and things like that, it really just sets up his character so well to just have him make that kind of stuff on his own. And I love the scene as well after the big fight scene, which we should probably talk about after this one, where he's kind of on the ground and he's completely exhausted, but he still wants to get up and fight and carry on. And that's what the character of Spider-Man is, right? Like, even when he's been beat down, he carries on. So
before we go into the airport scene, is there any other scenes that we should talk about? Because I feel like we should do the airport scene last.
We've already talked about Crossbones, but I'm just going to bring up that I was really, really pissed off that they killed him in that moment. They kind of Cyclops his character to the point where I thought she actually just took the fire off him and put it up into the building or something like that. And I thought, oh no, well, Crossbones is going to come back, right? And he doesn't. And it's a shame because he was fucking awesome at the start of this movie. He looked great. The performance was great. All the weapons on his suit and everything, he was so good. And I would love to have seen him be maybe even the main villain of the film, or have him as the hired hit throughout the whole movie, like the henchman. But then on the flip side of that, if they did have that, that might bog the film down or take the focus away, or maybe you just shift the focus onto a villain that's all...
As far as Zemo was concerned,
I loved him.
Zemo, he didn't want to take over the world. He just wanted revenge.
And Daniel Bruhl as well plays him, who's from Inglourious Bastards.
And
played,
the master of the accent.
In
Yeah.
his situation, where you want revenge that much and you're going up against gods, how do you go about it?
Mm.
And he goes about it in the only way he can. And yeah, sure, he has to get his hands dirty for it, and I know he is a complete psychopath, but he has a good reason to hate them.
Mm.
He is a bad guy for murdering the people to get where he got to, but in the end, like, his overall motivation for it is believable.
I mean,
And
it's very bog standard though, right? It's just like, oh, he killed my wife and children, but like, just how he plays that scene, and there's so many great monologues in this film.
not only that, but he had the choice then and there to get them out of that 2-mile radius. He said, "Oh, they can see Captain America, they see an Iron Man," and he told them to stay where they were. They'd be safe, and that's resting on his shoulders throughout the entire film, which is why he's always playing back the voicemail, and
that was really
kills
clever.
him. That absolutely kills him inside, and that's why he's doing this.
And also, it led to Black Panther's kind of redemption, who was rather great. And it was that scene where Black Widow was like, oh yeah, well no, Black Panther was saying, like my father, it's honor, and he's like, I'm not that. And then he's just on a savage to kill the Winter Soldier, and it's when he's about to kill Zemo, he kind of realizes, and it's a great character moment, I thought.
And the fact that he goes to shoot himself as well after he's done it, I mean...
Yeah. I mean, that shows he has no beef with Black Panther at all. He has no beef with those people. He was there to tear them apart, get his peace, and then peace out.
And he's still alive. I mean, in the comic, it's a different Zemo to the comics. In the comics, he wears some like sort of gimp suit, weird stuff. But his dad was like a sort of Nazi and stuff. So there's a Hydra element. So when he came on screen, I wonder what he's going to do. Because I knew Daniel Brawl got cast. I knew he was Zemo. They marketed it perfectly. They didn't have him in one trailer. Nothing like that. The whole focus was on the versus bit where Batman and Superman got it wrong. Batman and Superman played up the Lex Luthor too much, whereas the one pulling the string, Zemo, they didn't mention once why it worked. Also because he's a great actor. I mean,
I've seen a lot of reviews with this saying that it's a great film, but the villain's completely forgettable, and I really don't have that. With a film like this, you kind of want the focus to be on the actual Civil War and the crew themselves breaking apart, and you do need someone to instigate that. I thought it was going to be Crossbones, but I didn't have a problem with the villain in this film. I really, really didn't. I thought he was fantastic. And then a couple of other characters that crop up. We have Thunderbolt Ross come back from Incredible Hulk, but it's even still done in a way where I don't know if that movie is tied into the franchise or not. The only clues we get to it existing are Thunderbolt Ross being in this movie. We get a newspaper clipping in the background of Daredevil, which refers to the Abomination fight, and Tony Stark showing up at the end, yeah. But there's no moment where he refers to his daughter Betty or the events of the Hulk and things like that, so it's still in this weird stasis for me, that movie, which is a shame because I actually really like the Edward Norton Incredible Hulk.
Are you sure it wasn't the Edward Norton Captain America, Chris?
Oh, I'm very sure, but I do like that movie too.
Can I untimely come in and say that my iPad charge is on about 5%? May peace out.
Okay.
I might have to go. Before you get to airplane scene, I want to say that scene's probably one of the best scenes I've ever seen at a cinema.
Yeah, let's talk about it now. Go ahead. Talk.
I'm just going to say I loved it. I loved Ant-Man, all of it. I'm going to have to peace out, though, because I can't let this drop any further. Because it's basically my computer at the minute. Film. This is my final thoughts. Everyone watch this film. The airplane scene is worth a fucking £20 ticket, let alone £10 IMAX one. Go see this film as soon as you can. You will laugh. Quickly on the end, the reveal of Winter Soldier killing his parents, that was absolutely incredible. I mentioned that, as I said before, that's something I wanted them to do. And it's when Stark finds out he's kind of got peace with him, there's a truce, and then, Zemo kind of drops the bombshell, and they're like, fuck this, I'm done. Let's just brawl. And it was an absolutely amazing brawl. That's all I've got to say.
And the front cover of the comic, right? The shield and beam.
Split in half.
Yeah.
I will see you guys soon.
Thanks for jumping on, man.
This was a challenge, but I wasn't missing this review, so peace out.
Yeah, it's alright, man. Take care. See ya.
Bye.
I have to say, this kind of the airport scene I thought was going to last maybe 5 minutes, maybe a little bit less. I thought it was going to be a very quick scene. Someone needs to get somewhere at an airport, and they're going to intercept. But no, it was a huge scene. How long did it last? Like 20 minutes long or something like that?
Probably 15 minutes, I guess, around that point. I
Are
don't
we
know.
including Ant-Man's introduction into the film as well? Because if so, then I think it's 20 minutes long.
I guess so. Yeah, it depends if we're going from the moment where they start. My friend said this at the cinema. It's like the walk of justice, the jog of justice, the sprint of justice. That moment. So from that point onwards, it's probably 15, 20 minutes easily. Yeah. And I didn't want it to end. It really didn't feel like that. I was completely engrossed in it. And we'll get to the Cap and Iron Man fight right after this because I think that deserves its separate topic.
Yeah.
But this one was just so much fun. Part of me thought they should have saved this for the ending because this is the big finale. But on reflection, I think it was smart having the more personal finale with the fight between Iron Man.
It's a Captain America film. If it ended there, it would have been an Avengers film.
Yeah. But every single moment of this scene was flawless, how it was filmed. And this is what confuses me. With the hand-to-hand stuff at the start of the movie, I couldn't really tell what was going on. It was very frantic and the camera was moving all over the place. This was pulled back. You could see everything that was going on. It was like panels from a comic book.
Yeah.
Every character got a moment to shine. There wasn't a wasted character in the fight. They all had something to do. Brilliant direction. And if this is what we got just from Captain America Civil War, I can't even imagine what we're going to get into more with the Russo brothers, and that makes me very, very, very excited. Especially if they bring everyone in. I want that one shot where every single Marvel character they've ever had, and this is even going for the TV show because it'd be great if they brought Daredevil into this. I want just like on a ridge, a slow panning shot of all the characters they've ever had. Stuff like that would be amazing. Spider-Man in action doing the when he says, do you guys remember that really, really old movie? Yeah. Empire Strikes Back, tow cables around Ant-Man becoming Giant Man. I did kind of know that was going to happen. I did see
it revealed in the Lego released a set before the film, and it was a giant Ant-Man at the airport.
Oh, okay.
But I completely forgot about it until the film actually came out. It's like, oh, okay, that makes more sense now.
And there was a moment in the fight where I'm already predicting. I don't know if you watch Cinema Sins at all, but there's a bit where Falcon and Bucky are webbed up, and Falcon uses his newfound gadget thing that like snaps the web and frees him. Yeah. And then Winter Soldier was like, "Why didn't you use that before?" And it's just like, "Shut up!" And I'm just expecting Cinema Sins to go, making my job a lot easier. Ping, in the corner. But no, just go and see this movie for this scene alone. This is what we wanted, right? And it just shows that you can have all this spectacle, but Marvel have been really smart with having all the characters established beforehand, with the exception of Black Panther, but I still think they did that very well in this movie.
Yeah.
And you're invested in what's going on. You're not passively watching it like I was in Batman v Superman, right? I was watching this scene, and I was just kind of just holding my head like, this is happening. Spider-Man is finally on screen with all these guys, and I was freaking out. It was amazing.
I'm pretty sure that everyone fought everyone at some point during that scene.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone crossed over with everything, yeah. And when you watch, I don't want to harp on Batman v Superman too much because I know it's a separate movie, but to me the themes are very much there. If they'd have taken their time and established the conflict, when you'd have got to that final fight with Batman v Superman, it would have meant something. There would have been stakes. You could have invested in both characters, and you would have understood why they're fighting. In the film, that was just done as a cool factor. It's like, oh yeah, you've always wanted to see Superman fight Batman, right? And it's like, well, yes, we have, but we want the characterizations of them and their ideologies there intact because that's what the characters are. And if we jump into the Cap Iron Man fight now, you got that in spades. You had the whole movie, and they'd sort of established little feuds with them before. There was unfortunately one monologue. There were a few lines actually that didn't get put into the film that were in the trailer. There was one scene that Captain America said before, "He's my friend." He had like this big long sentence in the trailer, and they cut that out. In the movie, he just says, "That's my friend." Iron Man doesn't say "You've started a war" when he puts the suit on. Little bit of a shame because I thought those scenes were really great, but the end fight was intense, edge of your seat. When he tells Bucky to get up to the ceiling to like escape, to run. So much. And it wasn't just a case of ideologies, right? I mean, it was the whole Howard Stark death.
Yeah.
And Tony seeing that. Now, when I was watching it, I was going, okay, well, why is the security cam footage edited so beautifully and shot perfectly? But what I think it was doing was that he was actually watching it from the distance, like the security cam. It was also kind of delving back into that scene to show you how it played out, just with all like the hazy graphics and stuff. Amazing setup for the fight that ensued after that. And there was one moment where, because that device in the middle of Tony Stark's chest is what keeps him alive, right? That's the electromagnetic thing. When he
not anymore. Not after Iron Man 3.
You're right. Yeah. No. Okay. I've only seen Iron Man 3 once because I absolutely detest that movie. But yeah. So when he brought that down into his chest plate, I was like, oh god, he's like killed Tony Stark now. And I thought they were going to do like in the comics where Captain America's the one to die. I thought they were going to flip it for the movie and be very, very ballsy and take out Iron Man. They weren't.
But they wouldn't have, because we knew that like he was in Homecoming, unless that was a complete curveball. Oh my god!
I thought that was maybe this was just like really clever marketing, like as misdirection. But no, he's still alive. They're both still alive. Are you a bit miffed they didn't go with the ending of the comic book with Cap dying?
No, because it'll happen in Infinity War.
Because there were some shots released as well, and this is why I was adamant that it was going to happen, to the point where I bet with my friend. George sent me a link from the Empire magazine, which was Bucky holding the shield. And I thought, oh, so they'll probably kill Cap off, and then, as you've predicted for the future of the MCU, he will be the one to pick up the shield and carry on with it.
I still think Falcon's going to pick up the shield.
See, I don't know if he will, because I think he's so just not iconic, but he's so prominent in what he does himself with just the wings. Whereas Bucky is a hand-to-hand fighter, and I think with the shield that would work. Plus, he has the very, very close friendship with Cap because he was there in the wartime as well as present. I'm trying to think of anything else I can think of.
I have to say, just very quickly, my favorite character from the film which I'm looking forward to most at the moment is going to be Black Panther film. I was going to look forward from that. It would probably be of Infinity War, and I do think there's going to be a lot of deaths in Infinity War. I really do. I mean, it's called Infinity War, for Christ's sake. Of course there's going to be deaths in it.
One thing I'm wondering about Infinity War, I guess this could go with your speculation. The Infinity Stones, I'm trying to think how many we've actually seen on the film so far.
Vision, how many was on the glove when he took it?
Well, this is it. I don't know if there's one for each finger and then one in the middle, or if he's just got the 4 and then one.
7 in total. It's 7, I think.
I think they've cropped it down, though, for the movies. I do think they've...
Okay. I know, no, they've actually said in the movies there was 7. So there was 4 in the fingers and 2 there, and then 1 in the center.
Okay.
So
the Tesseract is the one on Vision's forehead. You've got the Ether from Thor 2. You've got the purple one from Guardians of the Galaxy, and then I guess the other 4 haven't been revealed.
We've seen 3 so far. I have a feeling that there's going to be...
Doctor Strange, probably.
There's going to be 1 in Doctor Strange. I have a feeling that Guardians of the Galaxy 2 is going to be them hunting down the other ones.
Well, I mean, they've got to get to it quick, haven't they? And I guess those would be the best ones.
I mean, I think Captain Marvel will have one as well.
Yeah.
I have a feeling, because I think he's not going to have all of the Infinity Stones by the time it gets to Infinity War Part 1. He won't have all of them at the end of Infinity War Part 1. He will do at the start or middle of Infinity War Part 2.
And that's going to be exciting to watch. I can't wait for that. Other things I can mention in this movie, where it all leads off. So Black Panther, absolutely. I can't wait for his solo movie. It's kind of weird not getting one before this one, but as I said, I think that with this...
It worked out.
And they are establishing the world very well. We get that shot at the end of the actual statue, which looks great. Bucky's gone into cryo freeze, so I guess they'll Austin Powers style thaw him out when they need him.
Imagine a Bucky version of Austin Powers. Oh,
I want that scene where Bucky's just like peeing for like 10 minutes when he comes out of cryo sleep. And then the very, very last one after the credits kind of confused me a bit. I don't know why he's got the spider computer or the eye spider or whatever that is. No idea what that's going to be. Is there anything else I could talk about this movie? I think we've pretty much run the gamut. Just
all thumbs up over here.
2 thumbs up for me.
Whoa. One final thing. who would you say was the most powerful person in the MCU after this film?
Vision.
You still think it's Vision?
Because Vision is almost like Hal from 2001: A Space Odyssey. How he is sort of on his own agenda and he's ultimately going for the greater good, although, as we see in the movie, there are some people that go against that and think there are better ways of achieving that. He is very stubborn in his logic and things like that, and I think that's fascinating about the character. But in terms of powers, I know he gets overpowered by Scarlet Witch in that one scene, and kind of Hawkeye as well for a little bit, which was weird. But in terms of powers, the guy can teleport through people, phase through people, shoot laser beams. He's kind of like Superman, really. He can pretty much do everything.
I would still say, I'd say Scarlet Witch purely because in this film, there was, in the airport scene, she showed off her powers, but she also didn't. There was one scene where she started throwing cars at like Iron Man. She could have just grabbed Iron Man, squeezed his head. She could have done that. She was being safe in those scenes, and I feel like if she unleashed herself to the full limit, and I feel like that's how she's going to die, possibly, in Infinity War, she's going to sacrifice herself to kill Thanos. But I really do think that she held herself back, and she is still holding herself back, whilst Vision is not. So even when she's holding herself back, she can still take down Vision.
Yeah.
I think that's scary, and I think she is probably she could take down the Hulk. She could probably take down Thor. She could probably take down anyone else. So I think she is probably the most powerful, and she's just holding herself back.
Speaking of Hulk, I did like how they wrote him out of this movie, because I know he's gone away and he's doing his own thing, but I like how they said that if he got here, who knows what side he'd be on. If I did have to predict, I think he'd be on Cap's side, because he tends to favour the freedom and no control, things like that. What else
or maybe because he's been controlling himself for a long time, having someone putting him in check and telling him when to do things would relieve him of the guilt of what happened and why he isn't there.
Oh, that's a good point, yeah. But then again, Thunderbolt Ross is kind of controlling everything, and those two have had a very turbulent relationship before, so I don't know. It's cool how you can kind of predict things like that. Just going back very briefly to the Infinity Stones, we know that Vision's got one, so they can either handle this in two ways. Either they're going to kill Vision off, and Thanos is going to extract the stone to put on the glove, or they're going to do it in a way where he controls Vision for his own ends as a kind of henchman. I think they can do it in both ways, and I think that would work. I guess I'm going to go into recommendation again. Absolutely go and see this movie. It's one of the best.
Definitely, 100%.
100% some of the best superhero action you're ever going to see. It's fresh out the comic book. It's a great new look into Spider-Man. It makes you very excited for all the solo films. And whereas all the references to future stuff kind of bogged Avengers Age of Ultron down, I think that everything they do in this to set up for future films works within the story still. And it's a big film. It's a broad film. It deals with a lot of themes, a lot of characters, but it absolutely juggles them perfectly. Hats off to the Russo brothers. Can't wait to see their Infinity War films. Part of me just wants them to direct everything, because they can write. Well, I know they didn't write the script, but they can direct the characters and portray the characters perfectly for all the other films, and that's really tough to do because each of the characters are very different. So absolutely go and see this movie if you haven't done already. Tate, I guess you're gonna.
This is the best Captain America movie, I'd say. This is the best Avengers movie. This is the best Marvel. This is the best MCU movie. Definitely not the best Marvel movie.
Soldier's better. Personally, I like Winter Soldier better, but to me, that's because it is self-contained, a Captain America film. This to me was more like an Avengers movie, but in terms of action,
it still felt like, even though it was basically an Avengers movie, it still felt like a Captain America movie. They still kept it to a Captain America movie. Focus was all on him. It was all to serve him.
And you know what? I'm still on Team Cap. Absolutely, that boy can do no wrong. Love me some Cap.
I'm on Team Black Panther. But personally, I started off on Team Cap. I thought, okay, if this goes the same way as the comics, I'm on Team Cap all the way. But slowly throughout the film, like towards the end, where Iron Man kind of, you have to understand, like, he killed his parents, whether he's in control or not. That's still good enough reason for him to go for it. And Captain America protecting him, he didn't even try and reason. He was just there to protect. He was just, oh, and now my mum's on live stream. Hey, that's 2 for 2.
I think I need to bring my mum in too. Then it's
But anyway, oh, I'm streaming, yeah.
This has been the best stream we've ever had.
This is the best stream we've ever had. I have to say, as far as the characters are aware, I completely understand both sides, but in the end, I sided more with Iron Man, and I'd happily say that. And I feel like in the end, Captain America just wasn't kind of seeing to the idea. I mean, if he was in the same situation, I have a feeling that he would also do exactly the same thing, and Iron Man wouldn't on Cap's side.
Yeah, I like how it leaves the film off as well. It's still very uneasy. It's a bittersweet ending for the team, really.
Yeah.
Still very much in dire straits by the end of it, but there is that uneasy truce that's going to come back eventually, and I like where they left that. I know you said that it should have ended with a character death or something more, gravity, more gravity for the ending, but I think that how it ended was still worked for the film. It's left a lot of stuff open-ended for the future stuff, but I think that was the best thing for the film, to be honest. One more thing before we close out. What did you think to the Stan Lee cameo? Tony Stank.
Tony Stank. I'm all for that.
That was amazing. And what's his name? War Machine's reaction after that was probably the funniest thing.
You're never getting away with that.
I think one of Stan Lee's first ever cameos when he was like in all the Marvel movies. I think it was a postman. I know he was a postman in the first Fantastic Four movie.
Yeah.
So I don't know, but I thought it was brilliant. It's always great to see him. And I completely forgot that he hadn't had one up to that point. So I was surprised, to be honest. But yeah, that'll do it for our review of Captain America Civil War. Be sure to comment, subscribe, let us know what you thought of the movie. Let us know how you thought it fit into the MCU. Did you think it was a good place to take the story? Are you excited where it's going to go? And I guess it's not too late at this point. Tell us, are you still on Team Cap or Team America or Team Iron Man? Not sure what's coming out next week or what films are coming up soon. I know that
I want to go see Demolition, if that's on your radar.
Ones I might be going to see, I might be seeing Ratchet and Clank next week, although I've heard
we have to go see the Angry Birds movie, even though I don't want to.
We do have to see the Angry Birds movie, and I got that. You don't go to Odeon, do you? You go to another cinema. Every time before the film starts, we get this god-awful Odeon points card advert with the Angry Birds, and it's just it's making me more angry, not wanting to see. But we will be at that film. Not sure what else. I know we've got what's coming out at the end of May. We've got Warcraft at the end of May.
We've got George's pick. We've got George's pick for the Timestamp Zero coming up soon.
Yeah,
we don't know what it is going to be, but
we'll get the poll out for that. So Timestamp Zero for anyone who's new, who's just watching this now. We do this once every month. It's the last Sunday every month. Each month we take it in turns, getting a list of films. We put that list out to you guys, and you get to vote on which one we watch, and we do a kind of commentary thing, live stream on here. We did Prestige, which you can check out on our channel. That went really, really well. Few sync issues with me and you with our copies of the film, but we got through it, and that was a really good discussion. And yeah, George will get in his picks out very, very soon. And when that goes out, we'll let you know. You can vote on that. That'll be on our Twitter and Facebook pages. The links to those.
Oh, and finally, every Monday, Game of Thrones, or Tuesday.
And Game of Thrones,
yes.
Yeah. Episode 2 Monday for us. Well, Sunday early hours of the morning, but we'll have our next show, which will be Tuesday. Looking forward to that. It was a great discussion as well. Love talking some Game of Thrones, and it breaks the channel up a bit as well, because it's great talking about films, but it's also good to talk about some TV every now and then as well. So yeah, that'll do it for our review, and until the next video, whatever that might be, whether it's a reaction from me, another review, or whatever it's going to be, we'll see you guys next time. So thank you very much for tuning in. We'll see you next time. See ya.